It is Monday, December 11th, and the Splash Zone is back in your life with my 4 favorite NBA player props for today. Again, we're talking Monday, December 11th. My name is Matt Modi with Jedi Modi Sports Betting, and I have 4 NBA player props for you guys to lock in for today's NBA betting slate. All 4 of my NBA player props are of the plus money banger variety, because that's what we do here on this YouTube channel. But before I can get into today's picks, I do need to do a recap from our last day, which was actually Friday. I didn't have picks for the NBA on Saturday or Sunday. So Friday, I gave out 4 picks. I went 2-1 on those 4 picks as we had a player not play. So that one just got refunded. We end the day Friday plus 1.1 units. Not breaking the bank, but we will take a profitable day whenever we can get. That brings our total profit season to date to just below 15 units of profit at plus 14.96 units with an ROI of essentially just above 13%. That's awesome. Hopefully we can keep the ROI above the 10% number. If you're riding with me, make sure to comment and let me know for these picks today. Then also make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are not already. And let's get into today's pick. So as I mentioned, I have another 4 for you guys. First up, in the Timberwolves versus Pelicans game, we're taking Jonas Valanciunas under 24.5 points, rebounds, assists, plus 110 odds at DraftKings. So it's my only underplay of the day, so figured you might as well get this one out of the way first. But it is at least still a plus money banger, so we have that going for us despite it being an under. Now, I will admit, Valanciunas has actually been pretty good for the Pelicans this year. He's gone over the number we are taking him to go under. He's gone over in 14 of 23 games and in 4 of his last 5. So he's definitely trending towards the over. I will admit that. So you're wondering, okay, well, why are we taking him under? Well, number one, those of you who know me know I love fading recent results such as this. I love fading recent trends, recent results, stuff like that. Generally, things start to even out over time. So just because he's consistently trended over doesn't mean he's going to hit the over in every single game. This is not a great matchup for the Pelicans in general, and specifically for centers. The Timberwolves have a very good defense, and because of how big they are with Rudy Gobert roaming the paint, they're also very good at defending opposing centers. Looking at their entire defense, overall, they give up the fewest points per game, literally the lowest number of points per game at 105.2 points per game allowed to their opponent. Again, that's the lowest in the NBA. They allow the 4th fewest assists and the 4th fewest rebounds against as well. They have a pretty stingy defense, and they also play at a relatively slow pace, 21st ranked pace in the NBA, so they're not the slowest team, but they're definitely bottom 10. And because of that, because of their good defense and the slow pace, they just don't give up a lot of counting stats. And then again, because of how big they are, they're specifically stingy against opposing teams' centers. They allow the fewest points per game specifically to the opposing team's center, the lowest number of points per game to the opposing team's center, and they allow the 2nd fewest rebounds to the opposing center as well. And then in assists, specifically to the center, they're middle of the pack. So it's really just the points, and it's really just the rebounds that they're very good at defending against centers. Now, I will say, the last time these two teams played this year, Valanciunas crushed this over. He skied over this play, and he had the most points per game he's had in an entire game this year at 26. To me, that's more of an outlier than something I think is going to be replicated in this game. So very confident that Valanciunas is going to go under our play, 24.5 PRA, hopefully cashing our first play of the evening. Next up, in the Heat versus Hornets, we're taking Duncan Robinson over 15.5 points, plus 120 odds at DraftKings. Now, I will say his main line, Duncan's for this play, his main line point total over under is 14.5. I decided to just pump that up 1 point to get it to plus money. Looking at the play here, looking at the matchup, with all the injuries that the Heat have suffered this year, Duncan Robinson, just like he did in the playoffs last year when they went to the finals, he's been awesome for the Heat this year. He's been really, really good. He scored 16 or more points in only 9 of 20 games. So you're saying, okay, well, that's not great. But when you isolate it in which games that Tyler Hero has missed, Duncan Robinson has cleared 16 or more points in 8 of 12 games. Without Hero in the lineup, Duncan Robinson averages over 31 minutes per game. And on offense, they desperately need his shooting. The Heat in general lack spacing, lack outside shooting. So having Duncan Robinson playing 31 minutes, running off of screens and firing away is really, really valuable for the Heat. And this is also an extremely juicy matchup against the Hornets, who are an abomination. They're terrible. They are tied with the Wizards for the worst defense in the NBA, according to net rating, and they allow the 5th most points per game in the NBA as well. Duncan Robinson starts as the shooting guard for the Heat. Despite the fact that he's a little bit taller, he's listed as a shooting guard. And the Hornets give up the 4th most points per game, specifically to shooting guards. Now, if you wanted to be a little bit safer with this one, you could take him over 14.5, which is at -105 at BetMGM. We're only going to track whether he hits the pumped up number of 15.5 or not. But again, if you want to be safe, you can do that. Hopefully, he can come through for us, cashing 16 points, cashing our second play. Next up, in the Pacers versus Pistons game, we're taking Cade Cunningham, 25 plus points, plus 115 odds at ESPN Bet. Now, the Pistons are such a joke that it's scary to back basically anybody on them. Really, outside of Cade, he's the only one that you can trust to come through on a nightly basis. And I'm expecting him to have a very good game against the Pacers tonight. In general, the Pacers have a terrible defense. They're Hornets level bad on defense. They have the 3rd worst defense in the NBA according to net rating, and they allow the 2nd most points per game in the NBA as well. The reason why they allow so many points, yes, their defense is terrible. They also play at the fastest pace in the NBA. So they have a bad defense and they play at a fast pace. That leads to a lot of points. Their games just have so many possessions. The Pistons play at the 7th fastest pace in the NBA. So yeah, they're not quite on the level of the Pacers, but they're still a very fast team. So this game in general should be a track meet with a ton of possessions, which leads to more points. Not only that, not only the pace and everything like that, but you figure that the Pacers might be a little bit tired after their in-season tournament run and losing in the finals on Saturday. If they have tired legs, or maybe they just can't have this the same energy that they had the past couple games that they played, that's going to come on the defensive end. They're going to lack defensive focus. And even if they play at their normal defensive standard, which is very, very bad, I'm still confident that Cade Cunningham can get us to 25 points. Now, he's only cleared this in 9 of 22 games this year, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a lock, but the last time these two teams played, he did put up 31, so let's hope he can have another good game again. And he is someone that I would feel comfortable pumping his point total up to 30 plus for obviously a lower unit size, but for much juicier odds, I do think that could be a good play, pumping him up to 30 plus. We're just going to track whether he gets to 25 or not as our third play. Next up, 4th and final pick of the evening, DeAndre Hunter. This is in the Nuggets-Hawks game, I should say. DeAndre Hunter over 15.5 points, plus 118 odds at Caesars. So, last play of the evening, let's hope that Hunter can come through for us against the Nuggets. The Nuggets do have a good defense. This is not a situation where we're targeting a terrible defense. So, again, there is a little bit of risk here, but I do like for DeAndre Hunter to have a good game. On the year, he's only cleared this number in 9 of 21 games, but he did that with a pretty slow start. He only went over in 4 of the first 13 games of the year, and he's cashed it in 5 of his last 8. And it's kind of interesting. It's almost as if he plays better, at least in terms of points, when he's playing better defenses. He's not the type of player that crushes bad matchups. Against the Pacers, in this past 10-game stretch, he only had 7 points. Against the Spurs, he only had 12. Against the Bucks, again, he only had 12. Those are 3 very bad defenses. With the Spurs and Pacers, 2 of the worst in the NBA. You could not get to 16 points. Then in the same 10-game stretch, 24 points against the Celtics, 18 points against the Cavs, 24 points against the Sixers. All teams that have good defenses. Now, the Sixers defense has fallen off in the past couple weeks or so they're not on the level of the Cavs or the Celtics, but they're also much better than the Pacers and the Spurs. And the most recent game he played was against the Sixers, where he put up 24. And the Nuggets are in a little bit of a rut. They've lost 2 straight to the Nuggets and the Clippers, and they haven't looked great. And they've been allowing some decent point totals as well. Dillon Brooks scored 16 on an over-under of 12.5. Jalen Green scored 25 against them. So let's hope that DeAndre Hunter can stay hot for us, cashing our 4th and final play of the evening. And that's all I got. 4 NBA player props for you guys to lock in. The splash zone, we're going to see hopefully who gets us wet and who doesn't. In Valanciunas' case, who doesn't get us wet, the other 3. Let's hope they can get wet. If you're riding with me, again, make sure to comment and let me know. Other than that, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Helps me out a ton. Share with your friends. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.